Seattle Mariners. Ken Griffey Jr. was more than a superstar for the Seattle Mariners. He became the reason baseball in the Pacific Northwest survived. Griffey arrived as a teenager with a picture-perfect swing and a joy for the game that instantly made him a national sensation. He hit 417 home runs with Seattle, won 10 Gold Gloves, and delivered back-to-back 56 home run seasons that electrified the kingdom. But Griffey's greatness wasn't just statistical. His defense in center field turned impossible plays into routine highlights, and his charisma transformed him into baseball's most marketable star. Legends like Edgar Martinez and Ichiro Suzuki had remarkable careers. But Griffey saved a franchise that was on the brink of relocation. He dragged Seattle into relevance, pushed them to their first ALCS, and became an icon whose backwards hat became a cultural symbol. His combination of talent, swagger, and timing turned him into the defining figure of Mariners baseball. And what comes next takes us to the most powerful brand the sport has ever known: New York Yankees. Babe Ruth didn't just change the New York Yankees, he changed the entire sport. Before Ruth, the Yankees had never won a championship. After Ruth, they became the most iconic team on earth. Ruth clubbed 659 home runs in pinstripes, posted an absurd 1.195 OPS, and shattered single-season home run records that looked impossible in his era. His presence turned baseball into a spectacle, filling stadiums and pushing the sport into the modern age. Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, and Derek Jeter each shaped dynasties of their own, but none transformed the trajectory of baseball like Ruth. He elevated New York from a franchise searching for an identity to the standard every other team measured itself against. His charisma made headlines, his bat redefined offense, and his legacy became the foundation of Yankee dominance. Ruth's arrival remains the single biggest turning point in franchise history. And the next team tells a story of a modern ace who reshaped his franchise in a completely different way. Los Angeles Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw became the modern definition of an ace for a franchise built on legends. The Dodgers already had towering names like Sandy Koufax, Jackie Robinson, and Don Drysdale. Yet Kershaw carved out his own space among them. From 2011 to 2017, he delivered one of the best pitching stretches baseball has ever seen, winning 3 Cy Young Awards, an MVP, and posting a 2.10 ERA across those 7 seasons. His 2.48 career ERA is the lowest of any starter in the live ball era, and his curveball became one of the sport's most recognizable pitches. Kershaw anchored a Dodgers team that transformed into a perennial powerhouse, guiding them to their 2020 championship and mentoring an entire generation of pitchers. Even as injuries mounted, his competitiveness remained unmatched. Koufax had the legendary peak, and Robinson changed the world. But Kershaw defined Los Angeles across 2 decades. His presence became a constant for a franchise built on excellence. And heading north leads us to a superstar whose all-around greatness rivaled anyone who ever played: San Francisco Giants. Willie Mays didn't just elevate the San Francisco Giants, he elevated baseball itself. His unmatched blend of power, speed, instincts, and defense made him one of the most complete players in history. Mays hit 660 home runs, collected over 3,200 hits, and played center field with a grace that even modern analytics struggle to quantify. His over-the-shoulder catch in the 1954 World Series remains the sport's most iconic defensive moment. Barry Bonds delivered unprecedented power, Willie McCovey hammered baseballs into McCovey Cove, and Juan Marichal dazzled on the mound, but none matched Mays' total impact. He won 2 MVPs, made 24 All-Star teams, and produced staggering WAR totals that place him near the absolute top of baseball's all-time greats. Mays dominated in New York and continued that excellence in San Francisco, bridging eras while defining the franchise in 2 cities. His influence stretched across generations of fans and players. And when the story moves to Atlanta, another legend changed baseball's understanding of consistency and longevity. Atlanta Braves. Hank Aaron stands as one of the most respected and influential players in baseball history. His pursuit of Babe Ruth's home run record captivated the world, but Aaron's greatness extended far beyond a single chase. Over 21 seasons with the Braves in Milwaukee and Atlanta, he hit 733 home runs, made 20 All-Star teams, and became baseball's all-time leader in RBIs. His 755 career home runs stood for decades, achieved through elite precision rather than extreme power spikes. Greg Maddux, Chipper Jones, and Dale Murphy all left enormous legacies in Atlanta, but none matched Aaron's blend of excellence, durability, and consistency. He delivered 15 seasons with 30 or more home runs and maintained a batting average over .300 for his career. Aaron didn't dominate with flash, he dominated with reliability and skill that never dipped. He carried the Braves through multiple eras, becoming a source of pride and inspiration. And the next franchise found its greatest player in a left-handed hitter who redefined consistency in a different way. St. Louis Cardinals. Stan Musial became the gold standard of St. Louis Cardinals excellence, building a career defined by reliability and elite production. Across 22 seasons, Musial hit .331 with 475 home runs and an OPS near .976, numbers that place him among baseball's greatest hitters. He earned 3 MVPs, made 20 All-Star teams, and helped lead the Cardinals to multiple championships. Albert Pujols nearly challenged him for the franchise crown with one of the most dominant peaks in modern history, but Musial's longevity and loyalty kept him atop the hierarchy. Cardinals legends like Bob Gibson, Ozzie Smith, and Rogers Hornsby each shaped eras of their own, yet none matched Musial's combination of consistency and overwhelming offensive impact. His smooth swing became part of baseball folklore, and his steady presence helped define St. Louis as one of the sport's most tradition-rich franchises. Musial succeeded for 2 full decades without meaningful decline, something almost no superstar has ever matched. And when the focus shifts to Boston, we meet a hitter whose peak was so extraordinary it became myth. Boston Red Sox. Ted Williams might be the greatest pure hitter the sport has ever seen, and his legacy with the Boston Red Sox remains unmatched. Williams ended his career with a .344 batting average, 521 home runs, and an astonishing 1.116 OPS. His 1941 season, where he hit .406, still stands as an unreachable benchmark. The 1940s were a turbulent era that interrupted careers and changed rosters across baseball. Even so, stars like Joe DiMaggio produced dazzling stretches, including his 56-game hitting streak in 1941, and Stan Musial dominated with a .376 season. But the player who ultimately towered over the decade did something no one has repeated since. He hit 400 in 1941 and finished at .406, a number that stands untouched more than 80 years later. His ability to track pitches was so razor sharp that teammates swore he could read the ball's rotation mid-flight. He lost crucial seasons to military service, yet still returned to lead the league in on-base percentage year after year, finishing the decade with multiple MVP awards and a legacy built on precision. His unmatched understanding of swing mechanics created a standard that hitters still study today. His skill was so advanced that opposing pitchers often said he had no weaknesses, only preferences. It was only after his dominance reshaped expectations for what a pure hitter could be that the world fully recognized Ted Williams as the defining star of the decade. And when the journey heads to Baltimore, the next legend became synonymous with durability in a way no one else has matched. Baltimore Orioles. Cal Ripken Jr. changed how the world understood durability, transforming reliability into a defining form of greatness. Ripken broke Lou Gehrig's iconic consecutive games played streak by appearing in 2,632 straight contests, a record that may never be touched. But he was far more than an Iron Man. Ripken hit 431 home runs, won 2 MVP awards, earned 8 Silver Sluggers, and played elite defense at shortstop and third base. He proved that bigger athletes could excel at demanding infield positions, reshaping how front offices evaluated shortstops. Brooks Robinson and Jim Palmer became Orioles legends, but Ripken's mix of production and dependability placed him on another level. His influence stretched beyond statistics, becoming a symbol of professionalism and consistency throughout sports. Ripken anchored the franchise across eras, stabilizing the team during its highs and lows. His longevity created a foundation for the Orioles' identity, and when the narrative shifts to Chicago, another player built his legacy through grit and all-around excellence. Chicago Cubs. Ron Santo became one of Chicago's most beloved athletes, earning respect through production, toughness, and connection to the city he represented. Santo hit 342 home runs, made 9 All-Star teams, and won 5 Gold Gloves, establishing himself as one of the greatest defensive third basemen ever. His plate discipline set him apart, consistently ranking among league leaders in walks and on-base percentage. Ernie Banks captured hearts with charisma, Ryne Sandberg delivered an MVP season for the ages, and Sammy Sosa electrified Wrigley Field during the home run race. But Santo's combination of longevity and balance made him the franchise's most complete star. His passion matched the city's energy, and his later role as a broadcaster deepened his connection with fans. Statistically, his WAR total rivals any Cub in history. Santo became a symbol of dedication and resilience. And as the story moves to the South Side, another slugger earned his nickname through pure force. Chicago White Sox. Frank Thomas earned the nickname The Big Hurt for a reason. Few hitters in the 1990s were as intimidating or as consistently dominant. Across 16 seasons with the Chicago White Sox, Thomas hit .307 with 448 home runs and a .995 OPS. He won back-to-back MVP awards in 1993 and 1994, showcasing a rare blend of power and plate discipline. Thomas walked more than he struck out in most seasons, an almost unheard of accomplishment for a slugger of his size. Legends like Luke Appling, Eddie Collins, and Ted Lyons shaped earlier eras of White Sox baseball, but none matched Thomas's sustained offensive brilliance. He carried Chicago's lineup year after year, forcing pitchers to game plan around him and punishing nearly every mistake. His production stayed elite even as offensive trends shifted around him. Thomas didn't just hit home runs. He controlled at-bats with intelligence and patience. His legacy as the franchise's greatest player remains firmly intact. Cincinnati Reds. Pete Rose became the heartbeat of the Cincinnati Reds, embodying a level of relentlessness that turned him into one of baseball's most iconic figures. Rose wasn't the strongest or flashiest player, but his unmatched competitiveness produced 4,256 career hits, with 3,562 of them coming in a Reds uniform. Yet the decade ultimately revolved around someone who did not rely on towering home runs or blistering pitch velocity. Instead, he weaponized consistency at a level the game had never witnessed. He collected hits with mechanical regularity, leading the league multiple times and finishing the decade with more than 2,000 hits. Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, and Barry Larkin each shaped the franchise in huge ways, but Rose's consistency and all-out style made him the face of Cincinnati baseball. He fueled the Big Red Machine with a relentless style that turned hustle into identity. Teammates claimed his energy elevated everyone around him, and opponents dreaded his ability to pressure defenses into mistakes. The league eventually realized that the player redefining durability and production was Pete Rose, the embodiment of grit and the heartbeat of Cincinnati's dynasty. And the next stop introduces a pitcher whose early dominance set a terrifying standard for generations: Cleveland Guardians. Bob Feller arrived in Cleveland as a teenage phenom, immediately overpowering major league hitters with a fastball that looked supernatural for the era. Over 18 seasons, Feller won 266 games, threw 3 no-hitters, and led the league in strikeouts 7 times, becoming the foundation of the franchise's reputation for elite pitching. Larry Doby, Nap Lajoie, Tris Speaker, and Jose Ramirez all produced legendary stretches in Cleveland, but none matched Feller's blend of dominance and longevity. His delivery was explosive yet controlled, generating velocity few hitters had ever seen. Feller's presence transformed Cleveland into a perennial contender throughout the 1940s, and his legacy helped define what pitching greatness would look like in future generations. He became the archetype of the intimidating ace who could carry a franchise. And as the focus shifts to Denver, the next star produced numbers that pushed the limits of what a hitter could do at altitude: Colorado Rockies. Todd Helton became the foundational superstar for a young Colorado Rockies franchise, delivering elite production year after year. Helton hit .316 for his career, crushed 369 home runs, and posted a .953 OPS across 17 seasons spent entirely in Colorado. Coors Field amplified offense, but Helton's discipline and precision proved he wasn't just a product of altitude. He ranked among league leaders in walks, on base percentage, and doubles throughout the early 2000s. Larry Walker, Nolan Arenado, and Troy Tulowitzki each built incredible careers with the Rockies, but Helton's consistency and longevity gave him the strongest case as the franchise's greatest player. His 2000 season remains one of the most dominant in modern history, featuring a .372 average, 42 home runs, and 147 RBIs. Helton also played Gold Glove caliber defense at first base, making him a complete all-around star. He guided Colorado to its first World Series appearance in 2007 and became the steady presence fans relied on through multiple eras. And when the story shifts to Detroit, we encounter a legend whose intensity changed baseball's early decades. Detroit Tigers. Ty Cobb remains one of baseball's most formidable figures, dominating the sport with a blend of precision, aggression, and relentless competitiveness. Across 22 seasons with the Detroit Tigers, Cobb hit .366, a record that still stands as the highest batting average in MLB history. Ty Cobb's .366 career batting average, or Josh Gibson's .371, depending on which records you trust, is absurd by any standard. Cobb turned hitting into psychology. He studied pitchers like puzzles, baited them into mistakes, and punished anything close to the plate. Gibson, in the Negro Leagues, did the same with even more power, though his full stats were never officially recorded. Both men lived in eras before advanced analytics, facing raw arms and unpredictable fields, yet they made the game look simple. Modern hitters can't even dream of averaging .350 for one season, let alone a career. Between strikeouts, shifting defenses, and analytics-driven hitting approaches, that kind of precision just isn't built into the modern game anymore. Their averages don't just represent talent, they represent a completely different philosophy of hitting. And as unbreakable as a career mark might be, one man in the 1920s made sure no one would even touch his single-season dominance. And when attention turns to Houston, the next star built a different kind of legacy centered on patience and balanced power. Houston Astros. Jeff Bagwell became the engine of the Houston Astros, anchoring the lineup for more than a decade with a remarkable combination of power, patience, and athleticism. Over 15 seasons, Bagwell hit .297 with 449 home runs and a .948 OPS, earning the 1994 MVP and routinely ranking among league leaders in walks and extra base hits. Craig Biggio, Jose Altuve, and Lance Berkman all produced monumental careers for Houston, but Bagwell's all-around impact made him the franchise's defining star. His unusual crouch stance generated surprising torque and bat speed, while his defensive skills and underrated speed added layers to his value. Bagwell collected 202 stolen bases, a rare feat for a first baseman known for power. He helped lead Houston from an overlooked franchise into a consistent contender, setting the tone for the organization's competitive culture. Bagwell's blend of athleticism and intelligence made him a nightmare for opposing pitchers. And when the script shifts to Kansas City, we meet a hitter whose pure contact ability reached nearly mythical status: Kansas City Royals. George Brett became the soul of the Kansas City Royals, blending intensity, precision, and longevity into one of baseball's most complete resumes. Across 21 seasons, Brett hit .305 with 317 home runs and delivered one of the most iconic modern hitting seasons when he batted .390 in 1980. He won an MVP, earned 13 All-Star selections, and led the Royals to their first World Series title in 1985. Players like Frank White and Hal McRae were franchise pillars, but Brett's production and fire placed him on another level. His swing was smooth and adaptable, allowing him to excel across multiple decades as pitching strategies evolved. Brett's memorable moments, including the pine tar incident, became embedded in baseball history. He excelled both in clutch situations and across full seasons, making him the franchise's defining star. His loyalty to Kansas City strengthened his bond with fans and cemented his iconic status. The next franchise produced a generational talent whose numbers look unbelievable even in today's era: Los Angeles Angels. Mike Trout emerged as a once-in-a-generation player, dominating every measurable category from the moment he debuted. Across his first decade with the Los Angeles Angels, Trout piled up MVP awards, elite defensive metrics, and offensive numbers that placed him alongside the greatest players in history and showcased an unmatched combination of power, speed, and plate discipline. Vladimir Guerrero, Tim Salmon, and Shohei Ohtani each shaped the franchise, but Trout's sustained peak elevated him into a category of his own. He finished top 5 in MVP voting 9 times before turning 30, a level of consistency almost unheard of in the modern era. Trout's leadership came quietly, but his production defined the franchise's identity. Even without deep postseason runs, his greatness remained obvious to fans and opponents. And when the script shifts to Miami, another superstar brought a level of raw power that redefined expectations. Miami Marlins. Giancarlo Stanton became the most explosive power hitter the Miami Marlins ever produced, launching home runs that defied belief. During his 2017 MVP season, Stanton crushed 59 home runs, drove in 132 RBIs, and posted an OPS of 1.007, delivering one of the most dominant power displays of the modern era. Across 8 seasons with Miami, he hit 267 home runs, many traveling distances that became viral highlights. Miguel Cabrera, Hanley Ramirez, and Jose Fernandez left powerful legacies in Miami, but Stanton's sheer slugging ability separated him. His exit velocity numbers became legendary, and pitchers admitted they feared leaving anything over the plate against him. Stanton thrived despite playing for a franchise marked by instability and constant roster turnover. His presence provided star power during unpredictable years, and his influence established a standard for Marlins hitters. And when the story shifts to Milwaukee, the next franchise legend built his greatness through versatility and longevity rather than brute force. Milwaukee Brewers. Robin Yount became the face of the Milwaukee Brewers through a rare combination of adaptability, consistency, and elite production. Over 20 seasons, Yount collected more than 3,100 hits, hit 251 home runs, and stole 271 bases. He won 2 MVP awards, one as a shortstop and one as a center fielder, proving his ability to dominate at multiple premium positions. Paul Molitor and Ryan Braun delivered historic stretches for Milwaukee, but Yount's versatility and longevity elevated him above all others. His 1982 and 1989 MVP seasons showcased his complete game, blending power, speed, and high-level defense. Yount helped lead the Brewers to their first World Series appearance in 1982 and remained the franchise's cornerstone through several eras. His leadership and humility resonated with fans, turning him into a beloved figure throughout Wisconsin. And as the journey moves to Minnesota, another hometown hero emerged as the modern face of his franchise. Minnesota Twins. Joe Mauer became the defining star of the Minnesota Twins by thriving at one of the most demanding positions in sports. A hometown player drafted first overall, Mauer exceeded even the highest expectations. He won 3 batting titles as a catcher, something no one else in MLB history has accomplished, and claimed the 2009 MVP after hitting .365 with a 1.031 OPS. Legends like Kirby Puckett, Rod Carew, and Harmon Killebrew each built extraordinary careers in Minnesota, but Mauer's excellence behind the plate gave him a unique edge. He combined elite contact skills with outstanding defense and leadership, guiding pitching staffs while producing all-star level offense. Injuries eventually pushed him to first base, but even then, he remained a steady force in the lineup. His disciplined approach, quiet confidence, and long tenure made him the modern face of Twins baseball. And when the story moves to Queens, a franchise finds its identity in a pitcher whose dominance changed everything. New York Mets. Tom Seaver wasn't just the Mets' greatest player. He was the reason the franchise transformed from a punchline into a powerhouse. Nicknamed the franchise, Seaver delivered elite production from the moment he arrived, combining pinpoint control with a fierce fastball that overwhelmed hitters throughout the late 1960s and 1970s. He won 198 games with New York, posted a 2.57 ERA, struck out more than 2,500 batters, and earned 3 Cy Young Awards while becoming the face of the Miracle Mets, who shocked the world by winning the 1969 World Series. David Wright became the modern heart of the team, Dwight Gooden delivered an electric rise, and Mike Piazza anchored the offense for years. But Seaver's long-term dominance separated him from every other Mets legend. His command, preparation, and charisma elevated expectations for the entire organization. Seaver didn't just give the Mets credibility, he gave them identity. His legacy shaped how future Mets aces approached the game. And as the story moves to Oakland, another superstar shattered baseball norms with unmatched speed and swagger. Oakland Athletics. Rickey Henderson changed baseball simply by reaching first base. With the Oakland Athletics, he became the greatest leadoff hitter ever, setting records that still look untouchable. Jimmy Fox, Reggie Jackson, and Catfish Hunter all left enormous footprints in Oakland, but Henderson's total impact eclipsed them. Rickey Henderson didn't steal bases, he stole time. Every pitcher knew he was going, and it didn't matter. He led off games with chaos, turned walks into doubles, and made pitchers paranoid before they threw a single pitch. He finished with 1,406 steals, more than twice anyone else in history. The next closest, Lou Brock with 938. Henderson's 1982 season alone, when he swiped 130, still stands untouched. The modern game doesn't even try to challenge it. Teams value home runs, not steals. Analytics call it risky, but Henderson made it a science. He watched pitchers' feet, studied timing, and played with reckless confidence. Every stolen base felt personal. He once said, "I'm the greatest," and for once in sports, he wasn't wrong. Nobody else ever will be. And as the story shifts to Philadelphia, the next franchise's GOAT redefined what dominance at third base could look like. Philadelphia Phillies. Mike Schmidt set the gold standard for what a third baseman could be. powerful, reliable, and elite on both sides of the ball. While Bryce Harper is building a historic modern resume, and legends like Steve Carlton and Chase Utley shaped entire eras of Phillies baseball, Schmidt's combination of longevity and production remains unmatched. Across 13 seasons in the late 1800s, he stepped up to the plate 2,335 times and never once cleared the fence. Not one home run. Even for the dead ball era, that's impressive in the wrong way. He wasn't a pitcher either. He was a catcher, so he got plenty of at-bats. Yet every swing found grass or glove, never glory. To put that in perspective, modern players like Aaron Judge can hit that many home runs in just a decade of play. It's not like he didn't try. The game just wasn't built for launch angles yet. Fences were far, balls were soft, and hitting for power was frowned upon. Still, 0 homers in over 2,000 tries is an unbreakable kind of futility. Holbert might be baseball's best example of consistency without results. And when the narrative shifts to Pittsburgh, we meet a legend whose all-around mastery shaped baseball's earliest era: Pittsburgh Pirates. Honus Wagner stands among baseball's first true superstars, dominating every aspect of the game at a time when versatility meant everything. Across 21 seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Wagner hit .328, won 8 batting titles, and terrorized opponents with elite defense and blazing speed. He excelled in an era defined by contact and strategy, thriving under conditions that demanded toughness and adaptability. He played shortstop with a mastery rarely seen since, combining athleticism with baseball intelligence at a Hall of Fame level. His ability to impact hitting, base running, and defense made him the most complete player of his time. Wagner also helped guide the Pirates to the 1909 World Series title, cementing his place in franchise history. His legacy grew even larger as his T206 card became the most famous sports collectible ever produced. And when the journey moves to San Diego, we find a hitter who dominated through precision rather than overwhelming power. San Diego Padres. Tony Gwynn, affectionately known as Mr. Padre, became the most complete contact hitter of his era and the defining star of the San Diego Padres. Gwynn hit .338 for his career, collected more than 3,100 hits, and struck out only 434 times over 20 seasons, an almost unbelievable total in any era. Playing in San Diego brings a mix of relaxed energy and rising expectations. The environment stays calm, but you can feel the fan base shifting into a new era where winning matters as much as sunshine. Petco Park fills up fast when the team heats up, and the crowd's energy grows vibrant without becoming overwhelming. You're encouraged to play loose, show personality, and take advantage of a city that embraces players rather than judging them harshly. The pressure isn't crushing, it's motivating. And as stars continue shaping the franchise's identity, you feel like something big is building around you. And when the narrative shifts to Arizona, a towering force arrives, one whose fastball and slider terrified hitters across the league. Arizona Diamondbacks. Randy Johnson didn't just pitch for the Arizona Diamondbacks, he reshaped the franchise's identity through pure dominance. Joining the team in his mid-30s, Johnson delivered one of the greatest late career runs in baseball history, winning 4 straight Cy Young awards and striking out more than 2,000 hitters in 8 seasons. They weren't just adding pitching, they were summoning a natural disaster in cleats. The big unit arrived mid-season and instantly became the most terrifying arm in the National League. In just 11 starts, Johnson went 10-1 with a 1.28 ERA, 116 strikeouts in 84.1 innings, and a whip barely above 1. Every 5th day felt like a guaranteed win. And Houston's offense played with a swagger, knowing they only needed a couple of runs. Even though the postseason fizzled, the investment gave the Astros their most dominant stretch of pitching in franchise history. And as the story moves back east, Tampa Bay finds its first true superstar, one who anchored a new age franchise with poise and power: Tampa Bay Rays. Evan Longoria became the Tampa Bay Rays' first legitimate superstar, arriving at the perfect moment to elevate a young franchise from perennial cellar dweller to contender. He debuted in 2008, immediately won Rookie of the Year, and played a pivotal role in leading the Rays to their first World Series appearance. Over 10 seasons in Tampa Bay, Longoria hit 261 home runs, posted strong OPS numbers, and delivered Gold Glove level defense at third base. Presence stabilized a team built on analytics and efficiency, offering both star power and reliability. Longoria also produced countless clutch moments, becoming the emotional core of the organization. Even after his departure, the culture he helped establish remained central to Tampa Bay's identity. And when the story moves to Texas, we meet a catcher whose defensive mastery transformed an entire franchise. Texas Rangers. Ivan Rodriguez revolutionized the catcher position for the Texas Rangers, combining elite defense with impressive offensive production. Over 13 seasons in Texas, Rodriguez won 10 Gold Gloves, made 10 All-Star teams, and claimed the 1999 MVP award with a rare blend of power and speed, 35 home runs, and 25 stolen bases. His arm strength became legendary, routinely erasing would-be base stealers and forcing opponents to rethink their strategies. He guided pitching staffs, controlled running games, and hit in the heart of the lineup during multiple competitive eras. His intensity and preparation set a new standard for catchers across the league. And when the spotlight shifts to Toronto, we encounter an ace whose precision and endurance built a reputation that stretched far beyond Canada. Toronto Blue Jays. Roy Halladay dominated through precision, efficiency, and relentless preparation, becoming the Toronto Blue Jays' most respected and decorated pitcher. Across 12 seasons, Halladay went 148-76 with a 3.43 ERA, earning 6 All-Star nods in the 2003 Cy Young Award. Blue Jays fans are the polite powerhouse of MLB, loyal, passionate, and proudly Canadian. They cheer hard but stay humble, filling Rogers Center with maple leaf pride. It's not just Toronto's team, it's Canada's. And that makes every game feel national. They've embraced players from every corner of the globe, blending cultures under one roof. Guerrero Jr. and Bichette have brought back swagger, but fans haven't forgotten the bat flips of Bautista or the heartbreaks that followed. There's optimism, humor, and a dash of national unity in every chant. Jays fans don't demand perfection, they just want relevance. And when that postseason energy hits, it feels like the whole country's at the ballpark. And as the journey reaches its end in Washington, the next ace delivered postseason brilliance that forever changed a franchise. Washington Nationals. Max Scherzer became the Washington Nationals' ultimate tone setter, delivering 7 seasons of overwhelming dominance that lifted the franchise into championship contention. In Washington, Scherzer posted a 2.80 ERA, went 92-47, and finished top 5 in Cy Young voting every single year, winning the award twice. His 20 strikeout masterpiece, 2 no-hitters, and countless fiery performances turned every start into must-watch theater. Ryan Zimmerman embodied the franchise's heart, and Steven Strasburg provided historic postseason moments, but Scherzer's durability and intensity made him the Nationals' greatest player. His preparation, velocity, and sheer competitiveness pushed the organization to new heights, culminating in the 2019 World Series title that defined the franchise's golden era. Scherzer elevated expectations, reshaped the team's identity, and left a lasting blueprint for future Nationals aces. If you liked this video, consider watching the next one YouTube thinks you'll love.